Okay, for those that may still need to fix some minor things from the installation, I'm going to walk through the steps of the installation of the software. I think most of you are there, but there may be little things, or if you need to do this again at some point, you'll have something to refer back to. Um, Before I actually get too deep into the actual installing, I'm going to go over really quickly what these things are that we are installing. Um, the first one we're going to install is R. It is a programming language. It will install a program called the R console that you can open up and work in, um, but you're almost never going to do that. It's possible you might for some things. I don't remember the last time I did, and I've been using this for years, many at this point. Um, so, so you're not ever going to need to open it. It runs in the background. It just has to be on your computer. It has to be on your computer for the second part to use, which is called RStudio, or they are changing their name to Posit. I've called it RStudio for so long. I'm going to refer to it that way unless I talk about the cloud version, and it's called Posit Cloud. But Posit or RStudio is actually going to be the place where you do the work. Um, and that R console that I mentioned a minute ago, if you open it up, it looks kind of like RStudio, but if you put them side by side, there's a lot more stuff in RStudio. And sometimes that's confusing, but it's not meant to just be confusing. It's intended to give you lots of tools that make it easier to work. And so that's where we'll do our work because it has these tools that just make it easier, um, including some presentation tools. So when we get to towards the end of the semester, it's going to have some things that'll help you make a nice little document that you can output as a Word document or a PDF or a web page or a number of different ways. So we're going to use RStudio. And then the last thing is a combination of a program you're going to put on your computer called Git, um, and a website cloud provider called GitHub. So Git is the thing on your computer that does the work, and the work it does is pushing your stuff out to GitHub, which is this uh, really incredibly useful cloud provider for backing up uh, and then for really intense backups of your work. And I'll explain that more when I get to it. So the first thing we've got to do is install R. And like everything else in computers, um, if you get into serious computing, doing things in order matters. So as we start doing the other labs, if you type things out of order and then run them out of order, computer's not going to know what's going on because it does not look into the future. The only things it knows are what you've already done or already told it. And so in this case, RStudio has to open R in order to work. So you have to have R on your computer first. Um, so the way you're going to do that is you're going to go to this, and I'm going to open it in a new tab. This is the Comprehensive R Archive Network. You can download for Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. Um, Downloading for Linux is a little, and installing for Linux is a little more complicated. But you may also, if you're running Linux, you may be able to install it through your package manager or your software center or whatever it's called in your particular distribution. If you're running Ubuntu, you can get the latest version here, or you can get a slightly older version by going just through the software center. But for Windows or Mac, you're just going to go to the download page. You do not need this. You do not need this. You may need R tools, but for now, what we're going to do is install R for the first time. You may want to come back later and install R tools. It would be a good idea. But for now, we're going to install R. For Windows, it's a matter of going and getting the download. You have to decide where you want it to go. I want it to go to the desktop um, so that I can work with it a little easier. It's already done. It's a small enough file that it's already out there. Um, so here it is, um, and I am going to click on it. It's going to pop up with a thing that says, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? For Windows, it shows up as a verified publisher. For Mac, I know sometimes in the past it has not shown up as verified. It's shown up as unverified, and people have worried about it. It really is a real legitimate organization. You're okay. If you followed the link I gave you, you're fine. It's okay to install it. Um, it's going to ask you to pick a setup language. If you pick something other than English, if you're not a native English speaker, you should be aware of two things. Number one, you will probably have to translate your lab results so that I can read them, because it will probably give your lab results not in English. Um, and the second thing is, I probably won't be able to help you with any errors or anything, because I won't be able to read it. And having you read it to me is likely to be very cumbersome. It's probably, if you think you're going to need help, it's probably better to do it in English. Even, if you think your grasp of computers is better than your grasp of written English, then yeah, uh, go ahead and use your language. But it just means I won't be able to help. So click OK. Um, and then whenever you get to the next part, you're going to click next. Unless you have like some special place that you like to install programs or something like that, you are just going to say yes to everything. Whatever's checked blue, you're going to leave it alone. Um, when it asks if you want to customize, you're going to say no, accept defaults, and click next. The one thing that you might change is if it shows a blue check mark and create a desktop shortcut, you can uncheck that, because you're not going to need it. It's just going to clutter up your desktop. You don't need a shortcut. You don't ever have to run this program. And then click next. And it will run. And when it's done, we're done. We're done with that part. The next part is we are ready to move on and install RStudio Desktop. So we're going to go to the download page. And it will give you the option to install R. If you open that, all it's going to do is take you to that page we were just on. So you don't need to do that. We've done it. But they're putting this in as a reminder, because if you don't do this first, it's not going to work. But we already did that, so we just go to install RStudio. If you're on, if it should pick your version for you. So I'm on Windows, it's popped up automatically to Windows. If you're on Mac, it should come up automatically to Mac. If you're on any version of Linux, it should come up with it. It may give you some options, um, but you're gonna get that, and you're gonna save it to somewhere that you can find it. You can save it to downloads, desktop, documents. I don't care where you save it. You save it. And it is only 300 megabytes because it's going to actually download more stuff, so it's not a very big file. You come out here, here it is. I've got it on the desktop. I saved it out here so I could find it. Um, and I'm going to run it. Same thing. It should say verified publisher. Um, and I am going to click yes. It will come up with welcome to RStudio setup, and I'm going to click next. Um, and I'm going to install it. I'm just going to pick the default. If you have someplace else you like programs to install, that's fine. If you're doing that, I'm going to assume you know what you're doing. So, um, but otherwise, just click install, let it do its thing. Um, while it is doing its thing, which is going to take a second, I'm going to um, go back to um, this and talk a little bit more about what you need to do next. So for Mac users, um, make sure to drag the RStudio icon into your applications folder if prompted. For Windows users, um, for Windows users, um, once it's installed, um, so this is just an installation program for R. It's installed. We don't need it anymore. I'm going to delete it. Um, RStudio setup is done. You should also delete that. You don't need that anymore. It's just taking up space. And if you go to open RStudio and you do the search thing to open it instead of using the taskbar and using the start menu, when you do search, if the installation program is out there, you're just going to keep running the installation program over and over and over again. And so people were doing that and not getting anywhere. And it was because they were using search. So don't do that. You need to use the start menu in Windows and then whatever it's called in Mac to actually find the RStudio icon. And the RStudio icon is um, a little blue. Um, it looks just like this. So when you open RStudio, it looks like this. Um, but this up here, this little blue thing, in the start menu, you'll see something just like that, a little blue circle with a white R in the middle of it. Once you click that in the start menu, you can also pin it to your taskbar or make a shortcut to go to your desktop. Um, and if you do that, um, if you make a shortcut to your desktop, that's a good way to open it. Um, so unfortunately, I have that already set up on my computer, and so I can't create a shortcut to show you how to do that. It's because I have it already pinned to my taskbar and it won't let me make a shortcut. So once you get it open, though, you're going to see this. You're going to see um, this thing open up. This is the console. You should have an option for terminal. Background jobs won't have anything in it. Um, you'll have this environment. There'll be a tab for history, a tab for connections, a tab for tutorial. You may have noticed I skipped this. That's because you won't have it yet. You won't have that until we do the next step. Down here, you'll have files, and files should probably be mostly empty. You'll have a thing for plots. It won't have anything. You'll have a thing for packages. It won't have as much, but it will still have quite a bit. It will have the things that are loaded automatically. Um, you'll have a help tab that is useful. Viewer and presentation, they won't have anything in them yet. So you'll have all of that. Now, before we do the next step, we have to close RStudio. So I know some of you are in the habit of leaving lots of things running. because computers have gotten so powerful that doesn't hurt anything. But it's a good practice to close RStudio down once in a while. Um, and this next thing we're going to do is going to be one of those cases because we're going to install the Git program. And if you're already open, you won't ever end up with this. You have to restart RStudio before you can. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. And I'm going to select Don't Save. I don't want it to save anything. Um, and then we'll go on to that. So the next step is creating this GitHub account. Now, I suggested on the first day of class that you go ahead and do this, so hopefully you did. But you just need to go to GitHub and sign up for a free account. Use a professional username. It can be a little bit entertaining, but just keep it in things that are not going to be embarrassing should you want to use it for a job application or something. Uh, uh, you go to sign up. You can sign up with Google or Apple, or you can sign up with an email address. You can sign up with your personal email address or your school email address. I don't care what you sign up with. And if you sign up with email, you can change that later. So signing up with email may be your best bet, um, but you can also sign up with Google or Apple. It's a free account. It doesn't cost anything for fairly limited use. As a student, once you're signed up, you'll be able to verify your student status and get an educational account that will actually offer you lots of other stuff. And it will offer you lots of things that don't have anything to do with RStudio, but that you may find useful. So other programs that you may find useful for other classes. So it's a good idea to go ahead and get verified as a student and get the educational discount. GitHub is owned by Microsoft. Um, so we've already done, so you should have signed up for GitHub. Get your username. You're going to need your username. But the next step is we want to install Git. For Windows, it's a matter of just downloading and installing a program. Um, for Mac, it is more complicated. So for Windows, you just click and it downloads, and um, after it downloads, to the desktop, you run it, install it, let it do its thing. I already have it, so it's removing my old version. It'll probably break my computer. Uh, if you want it for Linux, there's a different you use the install in Linux because it's pretty tied in with Linux. If you have Linux, you probably already have it anyway. Um, if you want to install it on Mac, you have to install other things first. There are a number of ways you can do it. Um, the Xcode command lines you can use. Um, you can use Mac ports or you can use Homebrew. All of these require opening the Mac terminal. So you have to be able to open a terminal in Mac. That's the little black box where you type things and they pop up on the screen and you hit enter and they run. Um, what I have been told by people who use Mac is that Homebrew is the easiest. That's why it's listed at the top. Um, but it's going to be a two-stage process. You have to install Homebrew first and then install Git. So so you have to go through the process of installing Homebrew, following the instructions there, and then you go into your terminal and do brew install git. So you have to do this part first, which is this installation, um, and It will explain what it will do. It'll pause. It'll give you some further instructions. You have to follow the instructions as it pops up in your computer carefully. When you're done installing this, you come back over here and you get the instructions. You type brew install git in your terminal, and that installs it. If you use Mac ports, it's a similar process. If you use the Xcode command line tools, it's a similar process. Homebrew is the easiest. Xcode command line tools is the most powerful. And, so that's a choice you make. Um, so once it's installed, if you're a Mac user, you open RStudio, find the terminal tab, type git version and hit enter. Um, you do what you need to do once it's installed. So the next thing we want to do is um, introduce yourself to Git using RStudio. And so you do that, you open RStudio again, you come to the terminal. So this is not to be confused with the Mac terminal. This is the RStudio terminal. You come there and you type this command: git config dash dash global user.name, and then your name, that is your actual name, in quotation marks. Don't copy it from this. Actually type it, and type it carefully to make sure it's correct. If you copy it, it may not be correct. So you need to actually type it. Nothing is going to happen. You're not going to see any response. If you see a response, it's probably going to be an error. That's fine. The next step is you're going to type git config dash dash global and then user.email and put in your email address. And I'm going to look something up really quick because I don't always remember the command. All right, so you would think I would remember it. It's pretty simple. But the command you're going to run now is git config dash dash global and then dash dash list. So git config global dash dash list, and it should have, so username should match what you put up here. Your user email should match what you put up here. If that worked, then you're done. Except you should exit the terminal. And the only other thing you need to do is close RStudio. And reopen it. And when you reopen it, you should see this. And it's not going to pop up with anything in it. It only did that for me because I've got something already there. But it will pop up and you will see this tab now. So you'll have environment, history, connections, git, and tutorial. This won't have anything in it. Your files still won't have much. Most of these will be blank except for tutorial. The tutorial, by the way, is not a bad thing to use. You might want to click there and install that package and run through some of the tutorials, especially if you're having problems. So at this point, you have done the lab 0 as far as the listed parts of it. The other thing that you need to do is clone the class GitHub repository. And so the way you're going to do that is in announcements. It's also listed in the syllabus, so there are two places you can find it. If you open the syllabus, there is in course information under required instructional materials. Well, I said that. I guess it's not. That's all right though. It is available in the announcements. So in the announcements for the class, you can find, go to Lab 0, help for doing this on your own. It's there. This, not the playlist, you want this address. Use the new address for the GitHub repository. This is the GitHub repository for the class. It's got POLS 3316 and Spring 2026 in the name. Come up here to your browser bar, highlight the whole thing if it isn't already, and either use Cut or use Control X on Windows and Linux, or Command X on a Mac. And I use X because you know it's happened because it disappears. You can also use Control C or Command C and copy it. That works too, but if you cut it, you know it's been cut because it disappears. So close that down. Come to File and New Project. This is not going to work because I already have it installed on my computer. But I'm going to, because that's actually what I'm in here, but I am going to show you the buttons to push. And I'm sorry, I have a lot of stuff on my computer, so it's slow. So when this pops up, you should see three options: new directory, existing directory, and version control. And version control is what we're going to use. That's what GitHub is. It's version control. So we're going to use Git. The other option is something called Subversion. I've never used it. Most of the people that I know that use version control use Git. So that's what you're going to pick. The only thing you have to do is come to repository URL and Control V. It will fill in the project directory name, and it will automatically put, it will probably put your project as a subdirectory of your documents. If you want to, you can browse to find a place. So like if you want it to go to documents, you can go to documents. If you want it to go to your desktop, I would not recommend that, by the way, but you can have it go to your desktop. You can have it go to downloads. I would not suggest that either. I have a place for mine. So don't pay any attention to what I'm doing because I am just, well, you know what? Actually, I am going to save it to a new spot because that way you'll be able to actually see what it looks like. So I'm going to save this to, I have something called R projects and it's already there. So it wouldn't work, but I'm going to save it to my documents, and then I'll delete it later. But wherever you put it, you can just leave it as the default, or you can pick a spot on your computer. That's up to you. But then you click Create Project, and it should be just about like that. It will download everything. It's downloading, it's pulling everything from the cloud, and now you have everything from the class. You have lecture stuff that I've posted. You have lab stuff that I've posted. You have lots of other things. So the last two things I suggested doing for Lab 0, one of them was to make sure this worked right, and that is to click Labs, click Lab 0, open the Lab 0 test script. It pops up over here, and you can run it, and it should do this. It's just creating, it's running a loop, a couple of loops, in order to create these numbers. That is just to make sure it worked right. If it did that, you have installed everything correctly. I am going to go on and go through what about the Lab 0 assignment, um, and go through that. So the Lab 0 assignment is in the lab modules. And so well, let's see. There we go. Yeah, okay. Step 6. So here we are. We're gonna do the Hello World test. So what we're gonna do is go back to RStudio and go to File. If you are using a Mac, you're not gonna see this menu. You have to like push your mouse up near the top of the page, and then this menu will come down. And you have to be careful about it because if you're doing a split screen thing, you may not get this menu. You may get the generic Macintosh menu, or you may get the menu for the thing you have in the other half of the screen. So be careful. You gotta get this actual menu, and you're gonna say New File and R Script. Um, in the blank window, so first of all, do not type the R. That is a typo I made. So all you want to do is um, Lab 0, my first script. Um, so like that says, anything with a hashtag in front of it or a pound sign is a comment and ignored by the computer. So if you wanted to put that R in that I put, you can put a hashtag in front of it and it'll be fine. If you don't put the hashtag, it's going to try to read that as a function and it's going to not work right. Now the next thing is, now watch me as I do this. So name, we're with name, we're creating our first object. So you're creating your first object. You're creating a name called, or you're creating an object that's called name. And in that object, we want to actually get your name. So I type quotation marks, which are, I type the quotation marks. Don't try to copy quotation marks from any instructions I give you, because if they do the curly quotation marks, they won't work. You have to actually type them. And notice, I put my name in there. I didn't actually put your name. When I say put your name, I mean actually put your own name there. Because the point is, we're going to have it type your name for you. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have it print, hello, my name is, and then your name, but we're going to have it go get your name. And so I'm typing typing what it says here. Print, open parentheses, paste, open parentheses, quotation mark, hello, comma, my name is, quotation mark, comma, the word name. Don't type your name there, type the word N-A-M-E. And then comma, and then quotation mark, and I am ready to code, dot, quotation mark, and then close parentheses, close parentheses. That's a lot, I know. Be sure you type it exactly. So I'm going to first, before I do anything else, I'm going to clear this out so you can see what I'm doing. So that I want to run just these first three lines, the two comments, and then the name, name hyphen, name left arrow hyphen Tom Hanna in quotation marks. When I run that, see what it has done is it has created this object out here that's called name, and in that object is actually my name, right? So this thing is called the assignment operator, this left arrow hyphen. So I created an object called name. I used the assignment operator to assign a value to it. And the value I assigned was actually my name. And so it's out here ready to be used. So the next step then is I want to actually print that, but I want to print it in a sentence. And so I use this command print parentheses, this other command paste parentheses, and then in quotation marks, I've got hello, my name is. I have to put a comma after that to tell it start on, the comma tells it start on the next part. And the next part is going to be, I want it to come out here and get my name out of this object called N-A-M-E. So after the comma, I type N-A-M-E, and then another comma to tell it we've got more to do, and then quotation marks, and I am ready to code, period, quotation marks, and then I have to close both parentheses. So if there's a parentheses that opens up over here, it has to close at the end. There are two, so there have to be two that close. If there's a quotation mark that opens, there has to be one that closes. Otherwise, you're going to get an error. So if you type that exactly, then run it, then down here in the console, it popped up and it said, hello, my name is Tom Hanna, and I'm ready to code. It came over here and got the name that I assigned. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some math, and it's going to be really, really easy math. I'm going to create an object named X. So I create an object named X by typing X, and then left arrow hyphen that I'm going to assign a value to X. And then only what I'm going to do is not assign a single value. I'm going to assign the numbers 1 through 5. And to do that, I use this little C thing that tells it there's more than one thing, and all of these things need to go into X. So what I'm creating here is called a vector. You'll hear that again later, but I'm creating this thing called X, this object called X, that's going to have the series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I highlight that line and I run it, you'll see over here, here's X. It says NUM. That means numerical. It's got a bunch of numbers. And then it says 1:5. That means there are 5 things in it, 5 elements in it. And then it shows you the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This isn't super useful yet because there are only 5, but we could have a million numbers. We wouldn't type them in one at a time, but we could have lots and lots of numbers, in which case there'd be a little dot, dot, dot here to tell us that there's lots more. So that's done. So the thing we're going to do is we're going to find the mean or the average of X. This is going to be your first math function for R. If you want to find the mean of X, the function is just called mean. So it's pretty easy to remember, and you can run that line, and it'll pop up down here, and it'll show 3, which if you you can probably do that average almost in your head, because 1 and 5 is 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 2 and 4, they're all nicely centered around 3. Yeah, you kind of knew that was going to be 3. In the instructions here, I said highlight all the code with your mouse and click run, and you can do that. You probably noticed as I was going that I was running one line at a time. And the reason I was running one line at a time was to make sure there weren't errors. Because if I made an error in this line and then I run everything all at once, I'm going to get this, and then I have to backtrack and say, wait a minute, what is the issue here? And it's pretty confusing, because it says the error is in this line, and the error really is in this line. So that's why I like to do one line, not necessarily one, but 1 to 3 lines at a time to make sure they're correct. If I leave a parentheses off here, then it doesn't pop up an error. It just doesn't do anything. It just hangs up, because I didn't close the parentheses, so it doesn't know what to do. So I can hit escape to get out of it, but it didn't work. So I got to make sure the parentheses are there. A few people will think, oh, I typed my name in there. Well, it gives an error because it has no idea what this means. It just doesn't know what that means. So it's an unexpected symbol. So you want to type the word name in order to match this. Another thing that can kind of mess up is, what if you don't use the C? It'll work well, it won't work just fine. Sometimes it'll work. Okay. So that's going to give an error. But you can highlight everything and run it. What if you type all this stuff but you don't run it? So I just cleared everything. So you type all this stuff, but you don't run all that stuff. All you do is select the last thing and hit run. Well, you get this object X not found. The reason object X isn't found is because it's not out here, because you didn't run this line yet. So you have to run things in order. It's really vital that things run in order. Also, what if you put the print paste command before the name command? Well, it's going to say object name not found, because you have to create the object before you can use it. So order really matters. So the two biggest issues that people have with this fairly simple Lab 0 are typographical errors, not typing everything exactly the way you need to, and then doing things out of order, or not running everything. So, but basically doing things out of order. Those are the two biggest issues, and really those are two of the biggest issues that happen with R. Typos are probably the single biggest issue, and they can be a pain. That's one reason I like to run 3 lines at a time, because it's a lot easier to find a typo 3 lines at a time than it is to have 100 lines and try to go back and find where you made the typo. So that is it for this lab. If you did not turn it in yet, you can take a screenshot of your RStudio window that shows both your code and the output. So I want a screenshot that shows this and this, ideally a screenshot of the whole thing so I can also see your environment, and then turn it in. So that's it. Thank you. Hopefully this was helpful.